Superintendent and Vice Juror of the President, the Honorable Janje Bakpe, or his proxy in the House, distinguished superintendents of the other counties that are here, officials of government, our colleagues from other agencies, our friends and brothers from the private sector, our young people who are here, and members of the press. I want to extend my appreciation to the county officials, the county, for the warm reception here today. It's been a good ride up here since we got into Buchanan. Some people came last night, but I think it's been a good one. Today marks day number 17. 17 days ago, we had the launch of Stockton Plus 50, national consultation in the city of Monrovia, specifically at the City Hall. At that meeting, we had dignitaries, including government officials. We also had the honor to have had the Swedish head of International Development Cooperation, Her Excellency, Madam Jenny Olsen, who was visiting Liberia at the time. During our lunch, we underscored the importance of this country, Sweden, to Liberia's development. And for those people who are aware, this is a country that continues to stand by this country, but continue to stand by our country even in difficult times. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are here this morning to commence the first national dialogue that will lead to two major dialogues culminating in writing Liberia's country report in support of the Stockholm Plus 50 June conference this year. 50 years ago in 1972, the government hosted the first United Nations Conference on Human Development, which ended with the formulation of declaration often referred to as the Stockholm Declaration. And that declaration contained 26 principles around the environment and development. An action plan with 109 recommendations were also made from that conference. Since then, there have been several conferences on environment and development with the overarching goals to alleviate poverty while protecting the environment. 4 cardinal pillars were identified as the building block for that conference. 1, society, the environment, culture, and economy. These 4 now have been merged into 3. They call it 3 Ps: people, the planet, and profits. These pillars are very important in addressing the environment and development challenges in a mutually beneficial way. In fulfillment of some of the major milestones in terms of creating a national environment regulatory framework under the Stockholm Plus 50 Declaration, it took our government almost 3 decades. And even though that is considered to be long, but the government of Liberia, our country, took steps in creating 3 principal legal documents, or 3 regulatory framework. 1, the 2003 Act creating the Environmental Protection Agency. 2, the development of the environmental policy. And 3, an environmental protection and management law. Since 2003, when the EPA was formed, the institution continues to exert itself in achieving her statutory mandate in ensuring a clean, safe, and healthy environment, despite the difficult challenges that face this country, and especially the EPA. And one of these challenges, ladies and gentlemen, is the one of lack of knowledge of the EPA. Until 15 months ago, I was one of the large number of people who usually saw that green building on the boulevard as just another frame where people go in and out. We had no idea of what this institution is, and we never even know what it was. When I found myself in the EPA, it was like a rude awakening. I went to that building only to find out that that small building you see houses some of the best mines that this country can produce from all sectors under one roof. And two, that agency holds this prospect in terms of economic development, in terms of human development in this country, than all the institutions in this country combined. And that's what this agency holds. In the process of trying to assert itself, EPA has been able to raise awareness on environment and climate change. We have been working to ensure that human life is a function of the environment in which you live. And by extension, that environment defines the society in which we live. We've been able to mainstream the environment and climate change into our National Development Plan, which is the PAPD. Because as an institution, if we can wrap our plans or mainstream the PAPD in what we do in terms of environment and climate change, then it will make it wholesome and make it responsive to the needs of our people. We've also produced multilateral environment agreements reports, and this is something that we'll continue to do. We have accessed funding from the Global Environment Facility, the Green Climate Fund, and other sources. For instance, in the last few years, we attracted funding from the Global Environment Fund. In fact, it just came in about a few months ago, the Western Project, which is the Monrovia Metropolitan Climate Resilience Project. It's a $25 million project to which, which the EPA has been over attract $17 million from the Green Climate Fund. We are also working, and we are on the verge of getting approval for another $10 million to do similar facility in Greenville-Sino County. Recently, we attracted $9.5 million from the Adaptation Fund to help the Ministry of Agriculture in terms of going into climate resilient crop, mainly rice and cocoa. So many other facilities will continue to do. We've established undergraduate and graduate studies programs in environmental science and biodiversity at the nation's premier institutions, and will continue to support that. Our presence here today is twofold. One, to hear from you, a cross-section of the population, of what is it that you think that we should do in terms of moving this country in the environmentally safe, climate resilient directions, and the areas in which all of the climate actions should be taken. Two, the second thing we have to do is also ensure that we can spread awareness across the spectrum to see how our national development contribution, which is the document that captures all of our desires as a country, as to how we can go into climate smart actions. We expect full participation. We want you to speak out and be able to tell us what is it that we can do. What can you do in your environment? For instance, we try to be as practical as possible. We'll talk about swamp. Some of the challenges we have will be the swamp, for instance. The swamp. Why is it that we are vehemently opposed to people building in swamp? People say, well, the population in Monrovia is a large population, in Buchanan it's a large, so people can dry the swamp. But when you dry the swamp, you create a problem. The swamp serves several purposes. Two major ones. Whenever there's a flood, it serves as a sponge. If you dry the swamp up and the sea level rises, or the other larger water body rises nearby, it covers the whole place. And then you have the snakes, the fishes, the other animals that use the swamp as a habitat to be displaced. And when you do that, it causes problem. For instance, in the case of the fish that we have, the fishes come from the sea, they go into the swamp to lay the egg, because they can't do it in high stream in the high river or in the sea. You dry the swamp, it causes a problem. The other third thing, which is even more important, the swamp serves as a major sponge for carbon sequestration. Carbon is that bad, is the solution to the bad odor or the gas that the industrial world produces that goes in the air, and the carbon is the one that traps it, processes it, and then turns it into breathable oxygen. As you already know, Liberia is the world's third lungs. There are 3 lungs in the world: the Amazon forest, the Congo Basin, and the Upper Guinea forest. The Upper Guinea forest spans between 70 to 20 countries. Liberia holds 40% of that. And the forest that we have is the most original rainforest you can find anywhere here. This country produces, that forest cover produces and is responsible for rain as far as the Sahara Desert. That's how valuable our ecosystem is. The discussion today is to tell us what you think, what you see, what areas that your country needs to put emphasis in, and what you can do as an individual, as a community, as a society, as an organization to make sure that that can work. Because at the end of it, our environment is our life, our planet, and is our opportunity to protect it. I look forward to a very, very active discussion. Don't be afraid to say anything, and this is not something, in fact, we want you to be, if being vocal will bring out the best in you, we will let for you to do that, because our EPA, our partners, the UNDP, the other partners, they are trained enough to look through all of that and get the best that we can harness to build a good country, to build an environmentally friendly and climate resilient country. Thank you very much and welcome.